This is, I say it's a really, really, really hard issue to deal with, right? We have, you all who are, the fiduciary duty under the Investment Advisors Act, and we have registered representatives that have a suitability standard and the FINRA rule book under the 34 Act and stuff, and sort of the lines have blurred over time, and it's an issue that the Commission has been struggling with for a long time. And I think, unfortunately, one of the things that Dodd-Frank did was sort of locked people into the discussion in the context of sections 913 and 914. And I think that what happens is then that discussion, then people sort of get into their camps and sort of defend certain various parts of that. What I'd like to do is take the opportunity to step back from that and have a more fulsome discussion about this, a more comprehensive discussion. And for me, it goes back to the RAND study that was done a while back that the SEC did, and there was sort of two main conclusions from that. One, investors were confused about the standard of care that they were being, that they were under from their financial advisor. But two, they were generally happy with the care that they had. And so, for me, I always thought sort of a follow-up to that study would be a good idea. So, for example, could we mitigate some of that confusion through either investor education or through point-of-sale disclosure, or something that we've talked about, which I refer to as a names rule, or I think you call it like holding out sort of thing. The idea that if someone calls themselves a financial advisor, that means absolutely nothing, right? Whether they spell it advisor with an E or an advisor with an O, it means absolutely nothing. But a registered investment advisor has a very specific meaning, and there creates a lot of the confusion. And so even to just start a conversation with people about, gee, should we think about if you call yourself an advisor or an advisor, then you have to hold yourself out to the suitability requirement under the Investment Advisors Act and the case law that's come before that. And for me, where that comes from is there's a statutory basis for this. As Scott mentioned, this used to be the Investment Counsel Association. Right. If you look at the 40 Investment Advisors Act, there's actually a provision in there that prohibits holding yourself out as an investment counsel unless you subject yourself to a high standard of fiduciary duty. And over time, the industry has evolved to call, you call yourself investment advisors, but then there's also financial advisors that may not be held to that standard. So why don't we have a conversation about, naming and that sort of stuff to mitigate some of that confusion, and then start having other discussions on that. So that's where I would like to go in terms of about thinking about the issue, and then we can sort of pull ourselves out of 913 and 914